We're live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to sunny
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're so glad you could join us.
We just got back from a little scooting around the beach on electric vehicles.
Yeah, that was very fun. And yeah, we had a great time at the Model Y event yesterday. Hope that.
Yeah. How many of you caught the event last night? I'm interested to know.
Live stream, was ours good?
Yeah, did anyone catch our live stream?
I don't know how it was compared to the Tesla official one.
I see he was working it hard. Hi, Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, Ashley.
We were really glad that we did that camera thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we got in the front row. And because that was.
Can I give the little story of how we got to that spot?
Sure.
Okay, so these events, they're scheduled, doors at 7, remarks at 8. So we've kind of learned over the years to get there early. And so we planned to get there at like 5. And I think we were pretty good. We got there at like 5:15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And our buddy Ross, he was our +1. And he got there even before us and like held our place in line. So when we got to the Tesla design studio, there was Jay from What's Inside
mm-hmm.
and us and Ross.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at the front of the line. And it felt weird. Even Jay said this because it was like, are we in the right place? Because
there's no one there until
like 5:45.
At least 5:45. I mean, no, even like 6:15. It seemed like there was a group of YouTubers that came. So there was Ben Solons and the like. But then, yeah, it was like nobody, and then everyone started pouring in. I think it was the shuttles were dropping people.
Oh, that's what it was. So yeah, you had to park over in like this Lowe's parking lot near Boeing, and then near SpaceX, and then they shuttled you over. And so all of a sudden there was a line around the block,
right?
And it was really cool for us because so many people came up to us and we're doing selfies and talking and meeting people.
Really nice.
It was a lot of fun. But anyway, so we're at the front of the line. Then the press, we're not considered press.
Mm-hmm.
The press came. And what was neat this time is usually the press get ushered in first and get the best spots.
Right.
But this time, we were probably one of the first 10 people in. And we didn't even rush to get into the in.
Right.
We were in the store area.
The foyer.
Yeah, the foyer. And we're kind of like live streaming and talking. And then I'm like, you know what, Jesse, we should just get in there. So we get in there and the front row is already filling up. And so instead of being in the front row center, which is what I wanted, we were to the right, which worked out perfectly, because if you guys saw the live stream, it was the Model S, the 3, the X, and then the Y right in front of us.
That was really perfect. Yeah,
it was so awesome.
Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah, I'm glad that the camera worked out, because I at the whole time I'm doing it, I had no idea, right? Because I'm just seeing my phone screen controlling the camera, and I don't get to see any live stream stuff because it's sharing my phone's screen. And I took a look at it later, and luckily it all seemed to work. But the whole time I was just like,
I know. Ashley is asking, how's the VR thing? Did you get a good feel for the back? So the VR thing we didn't do, but I did ask if anyone could sit in the third row seat, and you couldn't in the VR. So
no one could sit in the third row seat anywhere.
Right. So I mean, we didn't bother with the VR because we already got into the real Model Y, and we figured, what's the point of VR if we're going to be in the real Model Y? So yeah, no one could sit in the rear third row seat. It looked very tiny. So I have a Model X with 7 seats, and so the rear row is for people, but really small people.
Yeah.
This Model Y seats are even smaller. So I really want to get my hands on the car to test that out, because I feel like unless you have a pet or really tiny children, I'm talking probably 8 years and under.
I think you could probably throw some teenagers. For sure.
Teenagers are gangly, big.
They're big, but you can squish them up. You can fold them up and stuff them into places.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can.
Not in this car. I think that third row is only if you've got tiny children.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's the option for the 5-seater.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big version.
Because, I mean, so many people, it'll be a hatchback. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't allow us to open the hatch.
Right.
So we couldn't look at that. I think it's because they're still working out those details.
Right. I mean, we were definitely looking at a pre-production car.
Yeah. So one thing I loved was that you've got this panoramic glass, but it's not like the 3 where you've got a divider.
Right.
There's no divider. It's all just glass.
I'm trying to think of my 3, and I know that I have glass. Oh, it's that it goes back further in the back.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture the difference, but yeah,
so Jesse was in the front. I was in the middle seats.
Yeah.
The middle seats are amazing.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, it was dark, so you don't get
we couldn't see out as well, but our eyes could pick up much better than the cameras could.
If the middle row seats, I mean, I don't know, just it felt like an awesome seat.
Yeah.
Hard to describe, but it felt good. Now, the other thing that I find weird with the Model 3, to be honest, is that its height off the ground does not feel like an SUV height to me. Like I'm thinking of a CR-V by Honda or a Pilot, or
it's more of a hatch.
Yeah,
it's much more
exactly.
Like a Golf.
It's more like a Subaru,
but not the size of a Golf.
Subaru Forester kind of feeling off the ground.
Maybe the earlier ones, not these new ones that look like every other SUV.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like that super high feeling, you're not going to get that. You can confuse it with the Model 3 pretty easily.
I did multiple times throughout the night.
Because
it was pulling up, I was like, oh, it's a Model Y. And then it's like, that was a Model 3. And I was like, the next one came out, I was like, it's a Model 3. And then they're like, it's a Model Y. And
the front end is remarkably similar.
We have no idea if it tows. They didn't say if it towed. But we've heard through sources that the Model 3 is going to be able to tow in Europe,
right?
Up to something like 900 something kilograms.
Yeah, 2,000 pounds.
So like a small trailer, which is perfect, especially for Europe, because people do that in Europe, whereas they do not do that in the United States.
Let's get some questions here.
Yeah.
So we got a question about, did you guys see the production for Europe in 2021? I didn't see any numbers yet for that. Did you? I mean, I'm assuming that's about right, but I didn't see any numbers. I saw fall of 2020 for pretty much all the versions of the Model Y, but I didn't see Europe. So I'm going to guess it's 2021, but we'll know more later. Do you know if the Y has a tow hitch, or do you expect it to have one?
Right. That's what I was talking about earlier.
I would guess it would.
I would guess that it would be smart to do that.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, it's going to be very similar to the Model 3.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the important part. I think about the Model Y is that it's almost identical to the Model 3, in every respect, which is that not in every respect, but in a lot of different ways, parts wise.
Yes.
As they've said, 75% of the parts are the same as the Model 3, and what that means is I think it's going to be very similar to the Model 3 in terms of what it can do. So we're going to figure that out.
Just want to miss any questions.
You don't want to miss any questions.
I just want to make sure I get them all. So, are we going to pre-order? So I started filling out online to pre-order last night. There's just so many questions.
It's not a reservation like it was.
It's a real order. I thought it was
just
just put down some money and hold your place. No, it's order the thing. And so here's my questions. I mean, color, yeah, we can figure that out. But seats. So it's I think $3,000 more for the third row seat. I don't, in my particular case, since the X already has that, I don't think I need it. But I think I want to experience in real life before I make that call.
I mean, the good thing here is that I think that they're going to get the Model Y out a lot faster than they did the Model 3, even the Model X. I think they're going to be able to get that car pushed out so fast because the Model 3
powertrain
they're practically the same car.
Yeah.
So from what I can tell, I'm not I am an engineer, but I'm not I didn't see the designs, so I don't know for a fact. But basically, I think that these orders are going to start coming out a lot sooner than we think they are, which means that hopefully we're going to be able to get a good look at, maybe some of your guys' Model Ys. So that'll be good. In terms of what we're going to order, I have no idea.
Well, and here's the other thing. I would really like to get the low-priced Model Y, but there are just still so many questions about it that it does make it hard if you have to do more than just put down a deposit. So I think I might just wait a little bit longer to get some more answers. I think a lot of you might be doing the same. I don't know.
The suspension, it felt, I'm going to say, very similar to the Model 3. We didn't go over any bumps and potholes.
But we did some slalom.
We did some slalom. I think we went over a couple bumps, actually. Now that I think back
it felt terse like the Model 3, and it felt tight like the Model 3. It did not feel... It didn't feel boaty like the Model X. It felt really
and it's
tight.
It's not a smooth... They want to give it a nice driving experience just because you can actually... It's very quick. So
I'm a little confused. What do you think?
The suspension has to be tight because it drives so quickly. Other cars like Lexuses and stuff like that, you're not going to be... You can't really throw them around as much as you'd be like, whoa.
Well, it's low to the ground. I mean, it's not an so I mean that's one of the biggest things to me is if you're looking for that ride that's a higher ride height, it didn't feel that way. Obviously, it's higher than the Model 3, but it didn't feel like that same.
I don't know.
It did feel higher to me.
I think the seats may have been a bit higher.
They were.
But
it was a different ride than the Model 3. It was definitely a higher ride.
It felt, I would say, smoother. I think.
Smoother than Model 3?
I think a little bit smoother. But,
okay, I didn't feel that.
We were in the car for 45 seconds.
I know, that's the problem. We're so pumped, and it was dark, and literally 45 seconds.
I know, yeah.
They had, so we were number 114 or something, and they had to give 600 people a ride. So they were just 45 seconds, and there's one car.
Right.
They had to give 45-second rides. It was dumb. Thank you for Fabrizio for that thumbs up on everything. Any plans to have a physical meetup in LA tonight? So we're heading out. We're heading out at 3:00 in the morning to the airport tonight. So
and I'm already exhausted.
Yeah, we put all of our energy in last night. We standing for hours on end really does a number on you, and then having to keep your body perfectly still to get the shot. So what we did is, you saw the live stream. We were also shooting with that same camera, getting good footage, and then I was shooting with the G7X, getting. I mean, I'm in the front row. I'm 25 feet from Elon, so I got some amazing footage of Elon. But you have to stay completely still, and then there's people pushing you the entire time. So it was tiring. I really wanted. There was a guy next to me. I really wanted to wall him. He was being rude.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So in terms of physical meetup tonight in LA, I don't think we can do it.
Yeah.
I need a nap.
Yeah. He's exhausted.
It's very tired. Yeah. I think we need to sleep until our flight because I can't sleep on planes.
Yeah.
Unless you know some kind of...
You have some jujitsu method of sleeping on a plane.
Some kind of like,
drugs.
Some kind of.
Yeah, if you know some over-the-counter drugs that'll put you to sleep, you'll take them.
I mean, sure, Tylenol, PM, but
I might slip some in your drink or something. I don't know. Also, any details about the battery? I assume it is using the same size battery pack as the 3.
Definitely.
Yep. Was the Y you were riding a 7-seater? It was. So, I mean, we did shoot some video of it, but I don't know what.
When I was trying, so after we got out of the car, I tried to shove the live stream into the back seat because I had seen one of the press people do it, and I couldn't get my hand in there. I tried to reach through. I hit the seat, and then I hit the ceiling. So is it like?
It's tiny back there. I stuck my head back there, and I was shocked.
There's no headrest.
I was shocked at how tiny it was, and I'm already used to the tiny Model X back seat. So that's why I'm saying I was really excited that they had such a thing. But then I was like, if it's not usable, what's the point? So really good question here. This is something that I don't fully understand. You guys need to help me, okay? So there's a discussion about it on Discord right now. Elon tweeting that there was a surprise that said people missed. Do you guys have any idea what it was? So first of all, I thought it was the sneakers too. I thought he was making a dumb joke about his Nikes. I guess that wasn't it. I missed it.
Roadster was there. I mean, maybe the Roadster had rocket nozzles on it and I wasn't looking for rocket nozzles. Maybe. I was just looking at the lines of the car. Maybe it was the red semi-truck.
Was the surprise that they didn't give Franz a microphone until...
That was a different thing, but I'm saying
yeah, so help us out. What was the surprise?
Some people were saying that it could have been a different interior.
Of the pickup truck? Well, where was the picture?
there could have been. I think in the official live stream or the screen there was like a glitch in the thing, and maybe there was some. I don't know. Maybe you can pour through the live stream to see if there was a glitched picture of the pickup truck, but you know, unless they had stashed it some way along our route or something, it's very. Let's talk about Elon here for a second.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Did a great job.
From what I can tell. I mean, I think
his mother was there on the side in tears,
and Kimball was there as well.
Yeah,
but he did a really good job. I think that the overall presentation of the Model Y unveiling was very smart.
Yep.
Bring out every car you've ever made, show the progress that you've made in such a short period of time.
Tell them why you think that's so smart.
Because all the press people that were there, obviously there's us YouTubers who understand Tesla for the most part, but all the press people there were probably sent by their boss, like, go cover the Model Y unveiling. And I don't think they have a clue. No one has a clue about Tesla unless they do their research and dig in and understand everything. And so what I think happened was that, no, not what I think happened, but basically it was very smart to be like, this is Tesla. This is all the things we've done. And this is where we've come in the past few years. And this is where we plan to be in the future. And here's our car. Brilliant.
Control the message.
Control the message, right? You're not just like, here's our car. Now, I think Elon could have stayed on topic a bit more. It seemed like he didn't have much of a script. I think he had kind of some bullet points. And the crowd was very heckly.
Yeah.
Some rude Canadians, which I had no idea was a real thing.
I know. It's an oxymoron.
I mean, sure, one in Saskatchewan, but then you're also going to yell at Winnipeg? Like, come on.
Right.
Come on. Was I surprised to hear the stock drop? I'm not surprised to hear the stock drop any day. I mean, Fudsters can pull it. I've been reading so many funny stories.
Okay, so this whole underwhelming. This car did exactly what it should do. It may not be the car for everyone. It may not have all the features you need or whatever, but let's not forget what it can do and what he didn't even talk about last night. Did he? I mean, he mentions the points like autopilot, but see, the press and the average American don't know what that is.
And you know what? Maybe he should have, I say, he was controlling the message, but I'm looking at it from someone who, again, understands everything. I think the press probably were like, it just looks like a regular car, therefore the regular things. But no, he should have really stressed some of the stats.
Because keep in mind, on a 45-second test drive, you're not going to get autopilot. You're not going to be able to show the press that's not what the car can do.
And I think it needs to be a bit more of a demonstration as to what the autopilot looks like, as to what the some of the future self-driving features are, to show what it looks like. I mean, if they're practically feature complete, that means that they can get a ride along a certain stretch of road where it's going to work perfectly, and they can kind of show like, here's what happens if a guy runs across the street in front of you, and it's like, it deals with that.
Well, and if Tesla was smart, they would invite the press back person by person basis and have them go in the next few months on long trips with the car.
Because everyone kind of takes the Model 3 as a given now.
Yeah.
They're like, the Model 3, of course.
Right.
It's like, no, dude, that's the coolest car.
Right.
That's awesome. That car, $35,000, you can get a Model 3 that feels and drives the way that it does. That's insane.
And for $3,000.
For $3,000 more, you can get a slightly bigger version of that. That's insane.
I know.
I mean, holy crap, is that such a wild thing, that, they have this expectation that is just set so high around Tesla that heavens forbid you release a car that's merely 100 times better than adequate. It needs to blow me away because it's Tesla. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Let's picture a year from today when Tesla has sold about 1 million cars, and when the Model Y is starting to be on the best-selling car in its class. Can we understand how big that's going to be? They already got the best-selling sedan, then they're going to have the best-selling crossover small SUV. It's just going to cement them. And this stock is in my opinion, I'm an investor, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, but it's trading in this range, a ridiculous range of 260 to 380 or whatever. And now it's at the bottom of that range. Yeah, you can't keep holding it down forever. They're doing everything pretty much right.
I want to get to Jumon's point here, which I think was very smart, a very excellent point. You think, he said, personally, I think yesterday was like Apple II launching the iPhone version 2. It will sell much better than the iPhone 1, but may not generate the same amount of excitement as the first iPhone. That's brilliant point. Yes. Exactly that.
Right. We're now at this stage where we're releasing new features to the iPhone kind of thing, where it's not as sexy, but the people who have the iPhone understand how the cool new features are cool.
This is a car that, if you spend the money, can get 300 miles of range.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
That's exactly what most people can actually live with that. And you're right. It was more exciting when there was absolutely nothing like that. And suddenly you have the Model S and it's like, whoa. And then suddenly you have the Model X and it's like, oh, great. And then the Model 3 where it's like, people can afford this. And now the Model Y, it's like, it is less exciting because we're approaching, the amount of technology and stuff that is possible is sort of, reaching a slight plateau.
Right.
But it's still a huge market.
Here's the thing. I talked to some random people today in LA, and every time I brought up the event last night, they said, "Oh, so it's this." I said it's the Model Y. It's the new, less expensive car, and so it's under $100,000. And I was like, "Oh yeah, way under $100,000. It's it's $38,000." And they were just looked at me like, "I've never heard of that." And it's like, yeah, it just happened. So yeah, I think for a lot of people, that's the exciting part, is you get all of this in a price point that's the average American car cost.
It's brilliant that it's going to come out so much faster. I mean, the Model X was delayed super long. It was supposed to be
about it.
The Model Y equivalent of the Model S.
Yes.
It was supposed to be like, oh, we'll just build the same car because it's built on roughly the same platform, or it should have been. And it would be like, oh, well, it's not that. We made the Model S. We can make the Model X. It won't be that much harder. Obviously, as Elon puts it, it's a Fabergé egg of car,
right.
Which is true. Somewhere between Fabergé egg and spaceship, as he put it in his live stream. But they've actually freaking done it with the Model Y. Having a car that is very, very similar to the sedan model means that now it's pretty easy for them to ramp up production. I don't think it's going to take that long. I think they just need some lines, and they need a little bit of ramp up, and then they should be flying.
Let's talk about Matthew's point here. Two big things that I think, again, are not that sexy to people as a car. So when he talked about solar and battery storage, he gave what we kind of know has been happening, which is that they've been cell-starved, so they haven't been putting out the power walls as much. But now that they're getting to the point where they're not cell-starved, putting out that product is a huge product, and there's so much built up demand for that product. So first of all, you get a price point that's so much less, right? It's, what is it, $7,500 now, or in that range? So that means that many people can afford that and need that in places where they're getting blackouts and brownouts all the time. So the fact that those are going to start shipping more and more is going to be huge, because that gets the brand even into a household that may not have the car. And then solar, yes, they're not quite ready yet for the solar roof. They're still vetting it and testing it. But when that finally breaks,
it's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. And it's not like he's changed the message on that. It's not like he came out last night and said, you know what, forget it, we're not going to do the solar roof.
That's just, and it's another, no other car company is making a solar roof.
Because I've heard a bunch of people in the energy industry who keep knocking the solar roof. They're like, well, it'll just be this little niche thing that rich people will have.
I'll point this out, right? Most houses are owned by a couple, right? You have two significant others that live with each other, and they have a family. Okay? For the most part, on average.
Okay.
And getting those two people to agree on putting solar panels on a roof, just regular solar panels, the rectangular kind that bolt to the roof, or screwed to nailed, whatever, is hard. One person is, if one person is for it, to get the solar person there, chances are the other person is going to be against it. They don't like the look of it. It doesn't matter who. They just don't like the look of it. And so, you're constantly fighting this battle as a solar company because there's people who are making irrational decisions based on the look of the roof.
Well,
and
to
suddenly,
your point, go ahead.
And suddenly, the solar roof means that that's no longer an issue.
You
You
took away
can,
the biggest obstacle.
right. It's like, okay, honey, but it'll look like this, and you can show a picture of the French slate.
And it'll be guaranteed for the life of the house.
Right. And that's enough where I think it's going to get most people over the hump. There's no real argument past the look. Most people just don't like the look of it. So in every couple, there's a 50, let's say it's 50-50 chance that a person likes solar.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're going to have 50% of people who like it. 50, so it's like a kind of a Venn diagram, or it's almost like a Punnett square.
Yep.
And so 25% of the people are going to both agree that they don't want solar, right?
Yeah.
Either because for whatever reason, and
50%.
Well, and then another 25% both agree.
Yeah, they want
If we're agreeing on this 50% number, which is not 100% accurate, I think it varies by region and genders and all sorts of different things. But you have 25, let's say in this case, 25% who agree and get solar. Then you have 50% of people who one person wants it and the other person doesn't want it.
Which means it ain't happening.
Which means that it doesn't happen. As soon as you can unlock that potential, that 50% potential, whereas before you were only getting 25%, that's huge.
Yep.
Because all of a sudden, even if you didn't want solar on your house, even if it was suddenly a roof product that is guaranteed for life, there just aren't that many other kind of roofs that you can get.
And for the entire life that it's operational,
and it's paying for itself.
Right, it pays for itself.
You put asphalt on your roof, it doesn't pay for itself. It just gets worse. It just wears out, and then you have to replace it in 20, 30 years, which is like that. When that came out, it's great,
well,
but it didn't pay for itself. No one was like, it wasn't back in the 30s or 40s or whenever they came up with asphalt composite shingling, and they were like, and great. And someone was like, well, why can't it pay for itself? No one was thinking about that.
This fits the numbers. So when Solar City was doing its thing, going door to door,
Mm-hmm.
they had a very high percentage of people who, once they were signed up for solar, would then renege on the contract before it got to the final stages.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say like, yeah, I think it's good. And then, like you said, they probably sat down with the significant other and there was like, wait, what are you putting on the roof? What's it going to look like? And, once they saw the sketches or whatever, like, no, forget it. So I think it was over 50%. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Elon didn't like that business style, because it created a lot of like negativity towards the company, where it was like, oh, once you say no to a company, it's very hard to go back. So he basically said like, hey, let's just go towards the solar roof option. And it takes longer, right? It's cut Tesla from being the number one in America solar installer down to number 3.
Yeah.
And many people in the industry think that is a killer.
Let's prop these guys up on our here. Pick them up for a second. Pick them.
We're doing this. Let me show you our view.
Looking off into the distance.
We're not looking at people in the pool, but we're looking at the distance.
Let's we'll put you up on this.
Put them on a pedestal. Little.
Put you up on the luggage that we have here.
So where's some more questions that we're getting?
We've been getting some more questions.
Did we take a better look at the semi?
No.
You know what's funny?
What?
We've been in the semi, right?
I was crawling around underneath the trailer and the semi at the last event I went to, so I didn't feel the need to. And personally, the look of it is not the important thing.
It's what it can do.
It's what it can do. It's not a consumer product,
right?
It's exciting, but like, didn't bother to crawl around it.
Arlene's wondering when they will build out the Gigafactory 1 battery production. Clearly, their limiting factor, and they keep saying it's only 1/3 built, a capital issue or a management opportunity cost issue. That's a great question, Arlene. I'm guessing there's a lot of issues. So one of them I'm thinking is labor. I'm thinking that they want to keep reducing the amount of people that are needed on a line, because I think you can build out fast, but then you need lots of people, and they're in a spot where there's not a lot of people. So to attract that many talented people, you have to think about all this other infrastructure costs. You probably have to pay for like housing costs per diems and stuff if you're trying to attract really good people. So I think that's a limiting factor. Elon said if I had to build this in California, which is where he wanted to build it, right? Because the talent is there, then it would have taken him 2 years just to get the permits. So he got to build it fast, but he's in the middle of the desert. I mean, that shot you see in the opening clip where they show horses running and then the Gigafactory, Jesse was right there on that mountain. We know that spot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's built up more since we were there in 2016, but it's still the middle of the desert. So to attract the thousands of qualified workers that you need is a tougher thing than it is.
I don't think that it's much as much of an issue.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think that that's their limiting factor. I think that
I just think it's
I think that they are trying to scale it up with the production of their cars, and and they're treating Powerwalls. They're not pushing with the Powerwall.
Let's talk about Maxwell Technologies. So they're finishing up this deal, right? I'm guessing that by the end of April or something, they'll have actually finalized all the legal stuff. And then it's going to take time, we think probably around 6 months, to actually get all the engineering teams to go and do whatever they need to do to start doing stuff, right? So my guess is that we'll start seeing some activity with actually implementing this new technology into Gigafactory over the summer. And so there's probably going to be this slowdown of activity as they begin to try and implement, building out supercapacitor lines and maybe this new dry battery technology. This is exciting stuff. I mean, we have no real idea of what's actually happening behind the scenes. That's going to be fun to find out. So that's going to affect the building out of the Gigafactory. But is it capital? Yes. I mean, we got to be honest. It's always capital here, but it's going to get easier and easier as they're pumping out more cars. Let's talk about the kind of elephant in the room. Demand for these cars. Once he hit the $35,000 Model 3, demand is through the roof.
I mean, the Fudsters want to point it out as if it's some kind of a demand, like emergency demand lever that he pulled to, oh no, he's running out of demand for the higher end cars. It's like, no, man, like the point of Tesla was not as a luxury brand. They were trying to paint Tesla as this like super like, oh, we think that they're like this luxury brand. Like the point was to make a $35,000 car. That was the plan all along, was to make a $35,000 car. And then they're surprised when they release the $35,000 car and they go like, oh, it's because you ran out of demand, man. It's like, no, that was what he wanted to do. That's what you were, hating on him for so long. Was the base Model 3. And the FUD stories are getting so trumped up, like just complete and utter crap. I think it's we know that it's all motivated from oil. I have to believe it. There's no way that a journalist is going to be, writing this stuff if someone somewhere wasn't influencing them. Now, I'm not saying that like the Koch brothers go to their house and they bring a big comical bag of money and they plop it down on the table and say, you're going to write for us. But, it's influencing particular people to say particular things to other particular people, which gets stories written in a completely different light. So, when I read the articles from CNBC and Jalopnik, and they're like, oh, it's this stupid car, and Elon was cracking jokes on stage. It's like, if you were there, or if you were watching the live stream, he's a person. Like, I so enjoy that he is an actual real person. Yes. And being in a physical room with him where where some people are shouting out to him and he's responding to them, you get the sense that he's he's just a real guy.
And he was pumped up by the energy we gave back to him.
Yeah. I mean, and now that was important for me because I don't get to see him enough physically, not through my own eyes to his face, but I'm saying, on camera. He's not on camera enough. He tweets way too much. Yeah. I like. Well, so like in almost every relationship that I'm in, texting to me is bad form of communication. I've gotten into so many fights with people that I've dated because I was texting. And so one little thing gets misrepresented or understood, and then it kicks off this whole cycle, and you just have these, oh, I should have probably put a comma in there, if you like were to go back as some kind of forensic analyst. But the tweeting is the same thing. He's a wonderful person. You can tell that he's a wonderful, he could have, he could sell this company tomorrow if he wanted to.
Oh,
he could just find a buyer for Tesla, and he could say, hey, yeah, Amazon,
give me a
give me a huge check.
I own 22%.
I own 20%. This is a payday. I can. He, if he wanted to, could probably sell Tesla right now, and just he already could have retired, right?
Yeah.
After he done PayPal, he could have just said, put my feet up, just take a break. I don't need to do anything.
Do you understand? He could sell a company for $60-70 billion right now and be worth billions.
He doesn't need to be any more rich. He doesn't. And that's why he said making a car company is stupid if you're trying to make money.
We're going to look back in history at this period, and there are going to be History Channel stories about this, where this one guy, Elon Musk, determined the fate of sustainable transportation. He already has. Do you realize that every car company in the world now is electrifying, and it's all because of him?
Yes, and I mean, he did a great job of pointing to that and showing some electric cars are stupid. You're never going to drive them. It's a golf cart. And then going just 10 years later, where all these car manufacturers are going electric, it's 100% because of them. And I think a lot of times people kind of forget that Elon has done this, and that
they don't get credit for it.
That it really matters. Yeah. And people like to be like, oh, the stock price.
Yeah.
And hey, I own stock in Tesla. Hey, I would love for the stock price to be at 700 today. And maybe if he would stop tweeting, yes. If he were to stop tweeting, and if he were to, make more public things.
This is Amazon. Okay. This story is the same story we did with Amazon. It was all talking about this guy, Jeff Bezos. Does he get it? What's he doing? Is he high? This is wrong. You don't keep investing your money back in yada yada yada.
It's the same
story.
But it's different because of his motivations.
No, I'm not saying
Bezos,
from that perspective. I'm saying from the stock price.
I hear you. Yes.
We are going to fast forward a year or two. I don't know the exact time frame. And Tesla stock is going to be 700, and we're going to forget all about this, and we're going to go into this new realm of stock price taking off, because no one in the market knows how to price this company yet. They don't understand all the facets of the energy, and they don't understand it yet. So it hasn't been factored in properly. I'm just telling you. I can't predict the future, but it all makes sense, and it's all working out to basically what Elon wanted. He got the 30 Model Y. So let's get to some more questions here.
I want to bring up a question from Matthew, talking about the demand for the Model 3. What's going to happen to it now that the Model Y is out? I think that definitely some people were thinking about a Model 3 but wanting a Model Y. I think that there's two camps. I think that there's some people who wanted a Model 3, some people who want a Model Y. And I think that a lot of people were like, I can't afford a Model X, but I have a family and I need a car that can kind of serve that. I can't just go out and buy myself a Model 3. I need a car for a family. And I think the Model Y should be able to fill that role. It does depend a bit on the back seats.
Yep.
But honestly, a new-ish family, right, with some very young kids, I think it's a smart choice, because you get those seats. I think that's probably what the Model 3 was missing. I mean, the Model 3 was not missing much. It was pretty perfect car.
We would have loved to have seen some modular seats, okay, but that would have meant not being able to speed up production fast.
Right.
I mean, we would have, the Fiat 120, the 120 with the modular seats, or the,
not a real car.
Not a real car. Or
we've seen lots of concepts that do that. Again, making that actually work.
Exactly.
As Elon likes to point out again. I mean, Elon points these things out very accurately, and people just do not pick them up. It takes us reiterating them, I think. I mean, you guys probably get them, so maybe I shouldn't even mention it. But, building a prototype is easy peasy compared to making a high production volume car. So the Centoventi concept, or the Chrysler concept, which had basically the same thing. It was like the seats can just any seat. Look at it, you can make be a bed, whatever you want. It's like that's great on paper. On practice, it's like, where do you put the seats?
No, that's a good point.
How do the seats work?
In the Centoventi, you're supposed to be able to put a battery pack mounted under the seat, and it's like, can a human
when
do that?
and
Like,
and how do you
is it heavy? How do the connectors work?
Right.
Because that could kill you. So
it's
like,
not Legos, having these 3D models where you can just be like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh wow,
right.
It's like, no, you have to take it to the dealership. They have to, swap something out. It's going to be in the shop for a while. It's not so simple.
Juwan asked, do you think that the width of the Model Y was the same as the Model 3? I think it was either very similar or the same.
Within millimeters, I would assume.
Yeah, it felt the same inside. Larry asked, he's interested in the Semi, is there a sleeper in it? So I do believe they can do both. They're going to either have an urban one or they're, I think
they could.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll definitely outfit it in sleeper mode and non-sleeper mode. My guess is in the beginning they'll want to ship the non-sleepers, but I could be wrong about that.
And I don't know enough about trucking to be like, oh, it can fit it.
We're going to know a lot about trucking.
I think that you can fit a bed in there, but that doesn't mean that it's like a sleeper cabin, because normally I think the sleeper cabins have their own little room in the back.
Right. I don't think it's.
I'm not thinking of it probably correctly.
Right. It may be. You're gonna have to ask again, because it might be that it's a day sleeper and not a night sleeper. I have
no idea what the difference is. I'm not a truck driver. We're gonna have to get into that when we get the truck, obviously.
Will asks, do you think the Y demand will be insane like the 3? So yes, I think that let's talk about American market, the America market. US market loves this. They're in love with the crossover and the SUV, right? They like being up higher. I don't know if this is high enough for all Americans. Right? That'll be yet to be seen. But I do think that since that is a very popular style, it will be an insane demand. And I think it will surpass, Elon said this, I think it will surpass the Model 3. Now in Europe, I think the sedan is going to be more popular, but
it's still the
SUV.
Well, they want more, fastbacky kind of hatchbacky kind of cars, and it has a hatchback. I think that we're not quite thinking about how important the hatchback is compared to the trunk.
Okay.
The hatchback, completely different vehicle than
I
the
really
trunk.
wish last night that we could have seen the freaking
the freaking trunk.
Yeah, I mean the hatchback, because when we tried a couple times jokingly to go towards it, oh my God, they freaked out. They did not want us to. Like, I thought if I jokingly went towards it, then maybe they would actually let me do it, but they were like not having it. I think because it's just not ready.
I think it's not done yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's done.
Keep in mind, they unveiled the Model 3, and there are some subtle differences between the unveiling Model 3 and the Model 3 that you can drive today.
Right.
Slight, subtle, but important.
I think they're still working on it.
I think they don't want people to see something that isn't going to be.
Right.
Or they're just a jumble of screws in the back that, whatever they needed to do to make this prototype work.
Fabrizio asks, why do you think the mass media keeps reiterating the idea that Tesla's in trouble and won't be able to meet demand and will run out of money? Is there any possible real basis for that? Sure, there's always a real basis. They're running every
company has that problem. That is the universal problem with all companies.
I mean, you're running a company on a very thin, you're threading a needle constantly between debt and revenue. And so if you screw something up major, yes. And there's some companies that have a bigger pile of money. So like Apple, they can screw up a gazillion times and they've got so much money. But the fact that, Chinese banks would not lend Tesla $2 billion unless they were very secure. And let's talk about China, okay? Because we're ignoring that. China is the hugest market, and Tesla's the only one in it. Do you hear that story in the mass media? Do you hear, well, Tesla, this American car company, has a factory now in China that they own.
Right. It's not owned by the Chinese government.
And everything's going along as expected with the building of it. Of course, it doesn't look like a factory yet, but it will. And when they're pumping out Model 3s and Ys into the Chinese market, oh my goodness.
Right.
We're not even talking about that.
So this as you said, mass media talking about Tesla and all of this
the sky is falling kind of thing. It's really motivated. You know, I hate to be like conspiratorial, but yeah, it's completely motivated by people who want to make their own money.
Okay, and the mass media, who pays for them? Advertisers.
Right.
Who are the advertisers? The auto industry, the big auto, is one of the biggest advertisers. So do you think that if Ford and GM are coming into your offices all the time, that they're going to be like, oh yeah, Tesla's doing great?
You know, even beyond, I mean, first of all, yes, you're going to have those people.
But I mean, they're feeding those stations saying, hey, look, we're the ones paying you. We don't want to hear a lot of stories on this channel about this awesome Tesla.
And it might not be like that. What it is probably going to be like is, let's just say that the New York Times, they run a story and it says Tesla is doing amazing. They have advertisements for Fords in the New York Times. What do you think happens after they do that?
Those stories.
They say
those ads.
the advertisers say, "Hey, we're going to pull our money if you keep running stories like this." That's the way it works. They're not having a pre-conversation. They might. We don't know, but definitely, you know, if they ever ran a positive story, you know, advertisers are going to clamp down and say, no.
Don't be naive. I'm just saying they know who feeds them. When you know who feeds you, you're nice to that person. Right. That's how it works. Right. And so if Tesla was feeding them with advertising money, they would be nice to Tesla.
Should they do that?
No, they don't have the money to do that. They should not do that.
And you're kind of just feeding into that kind of corruption.
Here's the thing. Press. Why do it? They already have the demand without having to do anything. The only thing they need is Elon at the moment, and they have so many sales they can't fulfill them right now. So why bother? If you created this extra demand to just have people waiting longer for their cars,
that's true.
They're having to ride this nice S curve. Now, at some point, maybe they'll get into that old school run ads for their products, but they don't need it right now. Right. Let's go to a couple more questions and then wrap it up. Let's see.
Poll for the Model Y. That's a good idea.
Oh, what are we asking?
A census of the
like who liked it, who didn't, and why they like it. That's a great idea. And when we're done here today, we'll put a poll up.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget.
It will let you forget.
Let's see. Was someone there from Bloomberg, CNBC? Did people heckle them?
That's the thing. Those people don't have a face. They have a name.
A lot of times they'll send. So a lot of times you'll send a low-level reporter who gets the B-roll footage and the interview stuff, and then when they cut back to the studio, they just either interview that person, or because you saw this with the Boring Company, CNBC, CBS. They sent this young reporter, and then they would just cut back to the studio for the next 2 days to her, and they knew nothing. It was only whatever this reporter told them. Right. So that's what they do. They don't send their big people down there. They were there, but they're not their big people.
They don't want to.
No. They have some good interior shots from the open hatch on the Tesla site. Lots of good specs in the order process. Right. Yep.
It's important. Being able to fit some particular items into the back
like a bike
makes it a completely different car than the Model 3.
Yes.
And that is one of the very small points. That is so important.
It's a really good point. It's things about like putting groceries and stuff like that in the back that it's different in that.
It's different in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point. And China is going away from the low mileage kilometer EVs as well. So let's talk about this. So China's policy, as far as we understand it, is that they're going to keep the incentives for 300 and above kilometer range.
I think it was either 200 or 300 kilometers of range. Yeah,
But anyway, the bigger range cars, the subsidies will stay and even grow by 10%, and the smaller cars, it's going to shrink because I think they don't want a lot of tiny little cars that can't do much.
China is doing this crazy thing. We don't talk about them enough, really, because they're such a huge country and they're doing so much. But at the same time, we don't really get the same level of detail in terms of what's going on because we're obviously not Chinese and there's the Great Chinese Firewall. But basically, they're trying to explode their economy, and they're going to go through the Gobi Desert. I mean, even Elon touched on that. Like, if there's stuff in the Gobi Desert, we're going to build superchargers in the Gobi Desert. Yes. I think that the Chinese government wants people to be able to move. They want them to be able to
get to places. They do not want to have a provincial, village of small range EVs.
Picture the U.S. during the 1940s, and then and Eisenhower becomes president, and during his administration, they build the federal highway system, and America the economy just explodes, because now everyone can do everything, and China isn't there yet. You can't as easily. I mean, they're getting there, but like that's what they want to do. They're following that playbook, it seems, and when that happens, even bigger growth.
And I mean, we're lucky to it's lucky that they're pushing the EVs, that they're not going necessarily for the cheapest option. I think they see the absolute worst side of pollution.
Oh my God.
I mean, we're here in LA and we can see the smog.
I feel it around my eyes. I'm tired too, but my eyes and my nose are really feeling different than when I'm on these guys. It's we're getting a pretty nice off the ocean breeze today, but it's different here.
It's very different, and it's going to be 10, 100 times worse in some Chinese cities. And so I think that they really understand, hey, the internal combustion engine is not the solution here. We need to push EVs. I think I don't know how hard they're going to push it. If they're going to really do, I mean, so far the incentives have been insane compared to owning a regular car in China. And we should probably do a deep dive at some point, but we don't have like enough on the ground people in China because it's very hard to actually reach someone in China who will.
So much of it is municipal. So if you're in Shanghai, it's different than another city,
right?
But I mean, just the fact that you in Shanghai, for instance, get a $14,000 license plate for free.
If you buy an EV.
If you buy an EV. So wow, that's amazing.
And that's something that just never, you don't hear them talk about that on CNBC.
Or how about this, that you get to drive that EV any day you want. Whereas an ICE car, many days, it's a no drive day for you, depending on what numbers on the end of your license.
And I mean, there are not that many cities in the West that have that.
Think about that for a second, though, because I was just thinking that. Imagine if it's like, oh, we have to go get the groceries. Oh, we can't today. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Like, you have to plan your whole life around that.
It's not like you can go walk. It's going to be smog.
Right. Thank you, Will, for saying that we did a great job. I really appreciate that because Jesse and I put 2 days of pre-planning into this trip. So before we even got to the airport, we packed the smallest gear. And this is thanks to you guys. We have done this so many times now.
We've been really refining our process in terms of how we do it.
Because we used to get to a city and immediately start using up batteries and cards by shooting everything, and then
I remember landing at LAX, getting
a time lapse,
kind of walk out into the sunlight after you've left the gate and everything, and just being like, we have to film. Oh, there's a tree. We have to capture that quickly. And we would spend so much of our energy and effort on filming stuff that you're never going to see. You're never going to see any. We have hours and hours of footage of just like
us
shaky palm trees floating past, like through a dusty Uber driver's window. Like you're not going to watch that stuff. So we
focus on what would matter, and so we've got this amazing Osmo Pocket camera, which has that rotating gimbal head, and it's tiny. And then we
control it with my phone,
and then we put it on a small selfie stick kind of thing. It worked out great. Now it's not even we're cutting edge because you can't live stream with this camera yet. It doesn't have the software.
That's why there was the UI. You can see the UI of the camera.
And then such a great team that we have Brent and Bobby who made Brent made us a wraparound to put our brand on there and to cover up some of the crap that was on the screen.
Yeah.
And then Jesse was able to keep cutting back and forth between his phone and that camera to give you I'm going to show you this, and he popped to this camera that's up here. We actually at one point. So I don't know if this was on the live stream, right?
No, it was before or on our live stream.
On our live stream, they announced, the Tesla announcer said there will be no selfie sticks tonight. That was because of us, because we had just put our selfie stick up and it freaked people out. And so we lowered it 6 inches but kept it up. And then they sent a bodyguard who should have been in a movie. He came over to Jesse, giant dude.
I don't know if it was on the live stream or not.
I think it was.
I did not make it.
Okay,
I was just
he walked over to Jesse and he gave this look,
he's like, I'm just like,
and I was like, he's gonna kill my son.
he looked
gonna kill
over
him.
at me. He would
I
have,
thought his eyes were gonna melt you.
if he made eye contact, he would have made some gesture, which I can't do because I don't weigh like 300 pounds and can knock down a
But you know
wall.
what? I think
But he could have he would have just been like,
I think
and I would have left.
I think
would
what
have had to
confused
go,
him
you know?
was that it wasn't a selfie stick in the traditional sense. There was no iPhone at the top, whatever.
Right.
And it was like, well, actually, that's so much better than just putting your arm up,
Oh, hey!
which you're allowed to do.
Right.
So, yeah. So we were able to get that footage for you. And that was all because of prep. To get there and to be first in line,
It
takes a lot of planning to do that. And we
Yeah.
wanted to do that for you because if we were back 10 people or more, you couldn't have seen anything.
Well, we would have had the 6 selfie stick. We would have been all set. But again,
not as good as
that particular camera doesn't have any zoom.
Right, you would have been much further back.
We need to come up with some kind of magic.
But we keep. Oh, and Casey Neistat, I love that question there. It said, did Casey Neistat get to see your awesome camera rig at all? He did, because he was off. So if you're looking at the stage, he was off to our right.
To the right.
And he
waved at you.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I just want to ask you guys a question.
That was funny.
He came in, I made eye contact.
Yeah.
We both waved at each other. And then I was like, wait a minute, I just waved at Casey Neistat. And I looked around like maybe he's waving at someone else.
Yeah,
but he wasn't.
waving at you. I think he's just friendly.
I think he's very friendly.
I don't know if
he was not shooting at all.
No.
Which surprised me. I thought he would be shooting.
It's not his gig. He's not there to push.
You know what else was cool about this event?
Yeah.
It was the first event that we'd gone to with Tesla where they didn't do the pretend don't shoot rule.
Yes.
They did that at Boring Company, which was great.
A lot of
where Boring Company, they're like, fine, you can shoot whatever you want. And this one too, they were like, YouTubers, everybody, you're welcome. And I was like, that's great, because normally they come around and we have to hide the camera for a second and pretend. That was fine this time. And I'm like, good on you guys. You finally got it, and it was great.
For YouTubers, it's our job to bring the content to you.
That's right.
So yeah, let's just do.
Do you think they will have the pickup announcement this year?
And then final questions. Let's just
final questions. So pickup announcement this year.
Final questions.
Yes.
Yeah, so get them typed in now.
So final pickup announcement this year. I probably think this year.
Later
why not?
This year, sure. Why not?
Should they? Yes, because of Rivian. Here's why.
Yeah.
Rivian has an awesome looking truck. We've put money down on it. We want to get it and show it to everybody. And I think if you're in the price mode for that price truck, then it's smart of Tesla to say, hey, no, we've got one too. Don't let Rivian run away with this.
It will, and Tesla can go a completely different direction than Rivian.
Yeah, exactly. Rivian is going for the adventurer who wants to take it up a mountain.
They're the Land Rover,
right? And
that's fine. Right. I mean, that's a great brand to go after.
Right.
But I think Tesla's going to be going after the Ford and GMs of that.
I don't know if on their first time out they are.
Yeah. Well, so Elon talks about this, cyberpunk thing.
That doesn't sound like the typical American pickup.
No, not typical. But I think in terms of functionality, it'll be similar. It'll just look freaking awesome. I hope it looks freaking awesome. I hope he makes a Warthog. That's what I want tonight.
Right.
The Warthog from Halo would be the coolest thing, and it'd be electric, freaking awesome. I know but. Yeah, I think the pickup truck would be smart, and I want him to do it. I don't know how I want him to do it. I want it to be fun. I want it to be I want there to be pre-production. They always do this live thing. I want it to be a pre-produced video.
Oh, okay.
Pre-produced video. Elon can't screw up his, because he stutters a lot, and that's fine. But get some shots where he's not stuttering, where he's saying, I think it's really important that we do this. And then it cuts to something. They can they know how to edit, but have him do the voiceover, have him, kind of being interviewed or, sitting there, getting words out, not having him stutter so much.
If they hired me as CMO,
I know you'd have someone else do it. It's important for Elon to do it.
Okay.
I think he should do it. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if Robert Downey Jr. did it, but I think it is better that Elon does it. But if he could actually get his thoughts out completely, if they'd pre-written them, instead of him, he kind of has this, he's thinking and then he's speaking and thinking, speaking, and he's trying to do both at the same time. If he was just speaking, and then you know, they had cool shots of the pickup truck. You know, just like we see with Rivian. You know, Rivian has some well-produced videos. Tesla should do that. They don't have to pay for them to be advertised, but producing them would be fantastic.
You know what's fantastic about that?
What?
You put out a 60-second video about your truck, and then it gets picked up by everybody,
and everyone watches the video, and everyone wants it. That's how it works.
Here's the difference.
Model,
here's the difference with last night.
Right.
Even though we did the best job he's ever done,
yeah,
it's so long that you can handpick little pieces of it and make it look however you want. You can pick out like the jokey and the times when he's not speaking totally clearly.
Right, and where he's being heckled by the crowd, and he's saying like, "Yeah, we're bringing sexy back."
If they had released a video about the Model Y, and it got picked up by everybody, that would be the message the next day.
That's true.
It annoys me that they can't do that. Cool question about when do you think you guys will get your own semi? Larry, if you know anything, please let us know, because we're dying to know that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it gonna be 2020? Is it my guess? I mean, he has said 2019, so I'm guessing very end of the year there'll be a few production models.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll get ours till 2020.
Yeah.
I don't know. You think summer 2020? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we're going to have to figure that out.
I'd trade my Model S for a cool truck like Mad Max-ish. Yes, and many people would.
But it'll definitely.
Wouldn't it be cool if it was?
It's going to be futuristic. I mean, he was talking about Blade Runner, so he's thinking like futuristic-y, you know. And that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look like something from the future, and and it's funny because Tesla does that. They make cars that look like they're from the future.
Yeah.
I've been looking out the window. You've probably noticed, and like I've seen probably during this live stream like 100 Model 3s.
Yeah.
And like 50 Model S's and 50 Model X's. And they stand out to me. I know that I have an eye for them. I'm very good at picking out particular shapes. You know, because I can find 4-loop clovers and stuff like that.
Yes,
but there's a thing you didn't know about me. Only 17 fans know this. But where was I going? It stands out. There's a Model S right there.
Mm-hmm.
It stands out, and the interior also stands out as well as the feel of it. They're different, and that is huge. The differentiation, it just sets it sets something off in people's minds, and they're going like, "This is not the same as that."
Right.
Which I think is super important. And yeah, with the truck, I think it's going to be important that it look crazy.
I just end on another note, which is this whole advanced summon and full self-driving doesn't get talked about much. No one believes it. Oh, it can never happen. It's going to happen, folks.
Right.
We don't know exactly when it'll happen, but it's going to happen soonish. And the only company that's going to have it is going to be Tesla in the beginning.
Right. There's no other company that has a summon feature. I mean, I think we saw a summon feature with BMW, and it was the jankiest thing I've ever seen. You had a big fob, right? And you would turn on the car go, and then you'd push it forward, and then it like lost connection a bunch of times. We saw it. It was one YouTube video.
Okay.
I remember, but it didn't work.
Right.
And yeah, with these new features, as soon as they start rolling out, it's going to blow people's minds.
Right.
Like you don't understand how valuable it is to blow someone's mind. You know, it's sort of that iPhone moment, like, because keep in mind, you know, it used to be flip phones. Then all of a sudden you had someone walking around with the rectangle in their pocket, and they were like, oh, the internet.
Do you realize that we've been zipping around Santa Monica today, picking up scooters from Bird, Lime, Lyft, Uber, easy peasy, going everywhere we want, effortlessly, no pollution, all because of cell phones and electric motors. Like,
being in LA, it's sort of like being in this weird future.
Yeah.
Because you know, the weather is perfect for March. Yep. You know, at home I think it's actually kind of nice this weekend, but normally it's freezing. Right. Usually, you know, we did our last scooter video. It was like freaking 15 degrees outside. But it kind of allows these technologies to kind of roam wild. with the electric scooters, and you see so many people on these electric scooters.
What I mean is, when this came out,
Mm.
no one thought about, hey, you know what else you could do with it?
Right. Oh, you could scan a QR code, and that would
And then
unlock a
15
scooter.
seconds later, you're
and-
on a scooter, and you can leave it wherever you want, and it'll cost $1.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. No one.
It would have sounded
so
crazy.
wild.
If I had said that to you back then, you would have said, and everyone's going to have one of these phones,
You're like,
and
maybe.
it'll work everywhere.
I know that it doesn't work everywhere because the scooters themselves don't function outside of LA.
Well, okay, but here's a cool thing. When you take the scooter down like towards the beach, it shuts off some of the
Geofences the speed, so your speed slows down when you're driving along, Venice Beach or whatever.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. It's just wild, and I was never expecting that to ever happen.
It just changed the mobility. We got to see miles and miles more of the city and do miles and miles more of things, and created more e-commerce and all this stuff because of that. It's just amazing. And it's all happening.
Now.
We as humans are not good at seeing that right over the horizon thing. We're horrible at that.
And Tesla is at the very forefront of it.
Can we give them like a last talk about this question from Ashley?
Sure.
Did you guys get close-ups of the Gen 3 charger he mentioned? Yes, we did.
Yes.
The version 3 charger was here's a funny thing. They were parking Model 3s, was it? Yeah, Model 3s at the version 3 supercharger, running it up to 1,000 miles an hour. And then everyone could get their footage.
250 kilowatts.
Right. And then they were driving the Model 3s off to like burn electricity so that they could get the battery down again and do it again. Like, it was hilarious. So yeah, we got to do that. And that's really exciting. That was the second supercharger location in the world with version 3.
Right.
We got to shoot it. That was, to see that go up to 1,000 miles an hour is amazing.
Unfathomable.
And the cable is so thin.
I couldn't believe it. It's about as thin as the mobile connector.
Now, when it says liquid cooled, that doesn't mean they're pumping liquid, right? That just means it's filled with liquid.
I don't know.
I need to know these things.
I feel like it.
I didn't feel any pumping, but maybe that happens as the temperature goes up. It's so cool, though.
Yeah.
It's wow. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for supporting us. Just before we went live, Jesse turned to me and said, "Can you believe that we're YouTubers?"
I can't believe it. It's preposterous that we're actually, it was like 2000. When did we start this? 2016.
Yeah.
And people were YouTubers. That was a thing, but like, I didn't think I could be a YouTuber.
No. We started this YouTube channel just for fun.
It was like, oh, cool.
Be interesting.
Oh, we'll find some Tesla friends.
No,
We found so many Tesla friends, and you guys are our Tesla friends.
And it was just great. Like at this event last night, so many people came up to us. We got to meet so many people from a father and son came from New Zealand. They got their invitation 4 days ago.
And they flew.
They dropped everything. They flew 12 hours?
Yeah.
They had no sleep.
Yeah.
And came to the event to see this. That's the excitement that's out there. There's people that came from Australia, from Germany, from Switzerland, from Arizona. People came from all over, and we got to meet all of them, and we saw that, we are crazy, but we weren't the craziest people there.
Well, they're not crazy.
No, I mean,
they're enthusiastic, but I'm saying, and for every one of those people, there are, and for every one of you, there are like 1,000 more people who just have no idea that any of this is happening.
Or they have the wrong idea.
Or they have the wrong idea.
People we've talked to have said, "Oh yeah, I heard they're going out of business." Yeah, I'm like,
where
no.
are you getting your? Oh my God. But yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to do this. We were able to actually fly out here and live and shoot this for you. We're so happy that we were able to get in and do the live stream and hopefully show you some things that you weren't able to see otherwise. And we're gonna go home and we'll do the news. It's going to be a very slow news week. I think we're going to be like, "Hi everyone, welcome to Tesla Tech News. This week the Model Y came out."
Maybe a little short. We've actually been writing it like
we've been writing it all week, and yeah, we have more to write because there's a lot to talk about with the Model Y.
Anyway, we got to get going and get this guy some sleep.
Yeah, I need to take a nap.
We'll see you guys on Monday.
It's 7:00 in
somewhere
on the East Coast, and it's 4 o'clock here, and I feel like it's either midnight
I know.
or it feels like it's 7. So, all right, we're gonna say
say goodbye,
night.
you guys.
Yeah, all right.
See you guys.
Guys.